Good morning, everybody. Today I'm bringing you a dream. It's the third dream that my dad's part of it, that happened on March 27th, 2023. Today is April 19th, 2023, and on March 27th, my daughter and my mom and my dad all dreamt dreams that we believe are from God, and they're different than regular dreams. We have gone to the Holy Spirit with these. We have prayed, so know that in advance that this is what we think. Please filter it through your own prayer life. I'm sorry for the delay. My last video I posted that night, my father-in-law passed away. So last week my husband's dad died. So we have been very committed to family, helping his mom and family things. So I do apologize for the delay, but herein lies the dream. Things you need to know, elements that are in this dream that apply to my dad. First of all, he does genealogy. He always has. He loves family history. Second of all, he worked in retail. That's what he did. He was a manager, interior design manager for Sears stores all across the country. So those are things you need to know. Now then, once again, watch my last two dreams, because they all weave together, I believe, and then you can tell me what you think as you listen. Please comment and help me to know. I don't know everything, but I do believe these are from God. So here we go. My dad's dream, March 27th, 2023. He was with a relative. He said a cousin, and they were the same age. And the cousin, the relative, wanted to take a day trip. It was a clear day, bright day, sunny. They drove to a parking lot next to a mall. And the cousin said, we should get something to eat. And there was a line of people standing outside the mall to get into Fur's cafeteria. For those of you that are in the South, Fur's cafeteria, it's just it's been around forever. So there were a line of people, and there was an older lady in line right in front of them. And this older lady turned to my dad and she said, "My name is Coke." And my dad asked, "Do you spell that with a C or a K?" And she said, "A K." And then my dad said, "That means you must be German." And she said, "I don't know my family." And my dad said, "I do genealogy." And they got to the entrance of the cafeteria. They got to the front of the line, and the lady kept wanting to talk. And so my dad told the cousin, "You go on ahead, I'll catch up with you." So then my dad and her stood and talked about family history, and they exchanged phone numbers. And my dad said, "I'll be back and we'll work on it. We'll connect later and I'll work on it." My dad went into the cafeteria, and his cousin had already gotten his own plate and my dad a plate. And it was a ton of fried chicken, just a plate piled up with fried chicken. And my dad said, he said, "I can't eat all of this." My dad said, "This is too much." And the cousin said, "That doesn't matter at Fur's." So my dad said, "Well, I got to get a coffee." So he went and got in line. There was like a coffee station, and there was another lady in front of him, and they were waiting for the coffee to finish brewing. And but while they were waiting, this lady went into the kitchen to talk to somebody, and a man came up and cut in line right in front of my dad. And my dad said, "We have to wait on that lady over there. She's in line ahead of us before we get our coffee." So my dad got his coffee finally, and he went to go pay, and they said, "That will be $5. And my dad felt like he had money, bills in his pocket, but he reached and got his wallet out, and he said, I may have a 5 in here. Uh, and the clerk said, I'm sure you do. And so then he had a lot of money in his wallet, and all he had was a $20 bill. And he said, and he gave it to the clerk, and the clerk said, that will do. And he took the 20. And there was no change. He didn't give him any change. And my dad said to his cousin when he got back to the table, can you believe coffee costs $5 just for a cup of coffee? So then they went out into the mall, which the Furs restaurant was connected to the mall. They went out in the mall, and my dad's cousin was with them, and they were on the lower floor. But all the stores were closed. All of them were closed, and it was kind of dark in there. And my dad said, isn't it a shame this way of life is no longer? Isn't it a shame this way of life is no longer? Now, they came to a stairway, and it was roped off. And my dad asked, I wonder what's up there. And the cousin said, there is nothing left up there. It's all gone. So they went outside the store, and they went to another store. They went to another store down the way, and it was a clothing store. And when they got in, on the back wall of the clothing store, there was menswear, outerwear, like coats and jackets and stuff on the very back wall. So they started looking through it, and it was vintage outerwear. And my dad said, do you think anyone would ever wear these things again? And then this salesman came up, and he was all like fancy looking. He had expensive suit, he was well groomed, and he said, can I help you? And my dad remembered thinking in the dream, you must be the loneliest person ever. How will he sell these vintage coats? And we said no. My dad said no, they don't need help. They went back to the car, and his cousin said, no, he said to his cousin, I need to give you some gas for this trip. And he said, okay. So my dad once again got out his wallet, and he had 2 $5 bills, and he gave him those. That was the end of the dream. Now, he didn't have $5 when he was paying for the coffee, a $5 bill, but he did to pay for the gas. So, anyway, that was interesting. Now, I think there's a lot in these dreams. I don't know all the elements of this dream. I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form, other than I do think I may have the gift of discernment to where I can go, oh yeah, that's from God, and no, that ain't from God. I don't get it right every time, and thank goodness for grace and forgiveness. Cover my dog up. But I want to say this dream has an overall feel of choices being taken away, or choices being given. Times gone by, and times that we're facing now. So I think if you talk about, they get in line. The Coke, first of all, they go to a mall. A mall often represents choices. You have the choice to choose what you want to buy, where you want to go. So I think that the mall is closed and dark is relevant to in what's coming ahead of us, is that our choices are going to be more limited in the United States of America. I don't know if that, I think that may be physical, that's physical choices. That's what I think. I think it's interesting her name was Coke. Now, my dad dreams about Coca-Cola often, but she said it's spelled with a K. I looked up the German meaning of the word Coke with a K, and it means cook. I think that's, a cook provides food. I think the first part of this dream, the first cafeteria, means provision. That even when things are closed or dark or different than they used to be, which is coming, that we will be provided for by the Lord, and abundantly, because that plate was piled up with chicken. So I don't think that's, I think that's what that means. Please clue me in if I'm off base there. My mom dreamt about eating chicken in her dream. My dad dreamt about eating chicken in his dream, same night. So I think that's interesting. Now then, now the fact that he went and the coffee thing, I don't know if that means inflation. I don't know if that, I'm not sure what that means, except that five means grace, the grace of God. And he said, I think I have a 5 in here, and the clerk said, I'm sure you do. So in other words, I think that might mean you are covered by grace, child. I think that's what that means. Now he gave him a 20. Now this is what I don't know about, but 4 times 5 is 20. 4 represents the world. So I'm wondering if that means that, Christ has died for the world, and his grace is available for the entire world if we but believe and receive and follow and accept the gift. Maybe that's what that means. It could also mean inflation in the physical. Now then, they went to the lower level of the mall. They were on the foundation, okay? They weren't up on the upper level, but all the stores were closed. I think the lower level maybe means, your foundation is firm in Christ, but when you look around you in the world, things are going to be different. And my dad said, it's too bad this time, he said, isn't it a shame this way of life is no longer? I think that's a huge revealer in this. To me, I think that's a prophetic revealer in this dream. Our way of life is no more. And a lot of people, well, let me not get ahead of myself. When he goes to the menswear, the upper level is closed off. So things that we thought were important, things that we elevated in our lives, in our culture, are not important and will be closed to us, or we should shut them down and stay on the foundation of Christ. Maybe that's what that means. Please share with me what you think. So many of you are more gifted in interpretation than I. Now, when he goes to the menswear, I'm not sure why it's a men's department. I'm not sure how that means. I'm not sure why it's on the back wall, other than you have to walk through the store to get to the back wall. That crossed my mind. But they were old coats. They were vintage. Once again, an old way of life. There may be a time we're perfectly happy with whatever we have, even if it's old. That we're thankful for whatever we're able to wear to keep us warm. I wondered that. But I think that salesman represents people who don't see what's really happening. They don't see the changes that are coming upon us at warp speed. They choose to be go on spending their energy on worldly things, how they look, how they're, what they're doing normally, and things aren't like they used to be. America is not like it used to be. The world is propelling towards war and conflict. That's what I think, but that's just me. Uh, now, uh, we thought he must be the loneliest person ever. I also wondered if the salesperson represents just the lost, that aren't provided for. My dad's cousin and my dad were provided for in that cafeteria. There was abundance of choices, and grace was there. Maybe the $5, but my dad thought, how will he sell this? Also, it could mean a false doctrine, a false gospel, that believers will be able to see what is not real and will be protected in that regard. Um, so then when my dad was giving him gas for the trip, gas is fuel to keep going. And he not only gave him two $5 bills. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 often represents God's God's plan. So oftentimes in the Bible, when 10 is used, God is reminding us He is God, and we are not. And God has rules, and we do not get to question those because we are not God. So I wonder that if that's a double meaning, or a double, hey, you have grace, but you also need to remember that I am God. As you move forward, as I fuel you for your journey forward. Now, that is the end of the third part of those 3 dreams. I think that there are storms coming, that we need to prepare, that we're going to be sheltered from the storms, that the storms are going to be spiritual as well as natural. And I think that what we used to see and what we used to live in is going to go away. It already has. It already has, or it has for me. Now, I don't want this to go too long, but so I won't expand on that. I'll be bringing you more videos. I'm going to bring you a dream that I had, a blip of one. It's a doozy, but it's real short. But I'm going to record that next and then post it hopefully tomorrow. That's all I have, y'all. Stay focused on Jesus. Be ready and prepare, spiritually and physically. This is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.